Now, before we get to our guests, I want you, the viewers at home, to know something. Our team has spent days reaching out to dozens of lawmakers and Biden advocates and allies. We've had numerous interactions with the Biden-Harris campaign. But not a single potential guest was either able or willing to join us on today's show to defend the president and his decision to stay on the ticket. So we will be having a conversation without that voice, which we have been working around the clock to avoid. Joining me now, former Ohio Democratic Congressman Tim Ryan. Welcome to the show, sir. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, so you were one of the first prominent Democrat voices to come out and say President Biden needs to think about stepping off the ticket, and he needs to think about, or Democrats do, replacing that ticket with Vice President Harris. This is what the president said Friday night when he was asked about whether he's getting pressure from current Democrat leadership here on Capitol Hill.
If Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and Nancy Pelosi come down and say, we're worried that if you stay in the race, we're going to lose the House and the Senate, how will you respond?
I go into detail with them. I've spoken to all of them in detail, including Jim Clyburn. Every one of them. They all said I should stay in the race. Stay in the race. None of the people said I should leave.
So he says they want him to stay in the race, and short of the Lord Almighty coming down, he's not leaving. But we know that the House's top Democrat, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, is having a virtual meeting today with other Democrat leadership. Is there a chance he comes out and publicly says something different? And would that be what it takes to nudge the president?
You know, from what I'm hearing from rank and file members of Congress, you saw a couple come out this weekend, Angie Craig, who's in a swing district up in Minnesota. Minnesota's now in play. I think you're going to see a significant amount of pressure, whether it's today or tomorrow, sometime this week as the members come back, that this may be untenable for them to all want to run under a Biden ticket, because it's going to drag everybody else down. And I think that's a major concern for Leader Jeffries, who's a phenomenal leader. But I think his members, donors, activists around the country are very concerned. So I think you'll see a lot more of that this week.
So the president was pushed Friday night repeatedly about negative numbers, things that are not going well for him, the reality of the situation, and he pushed back saying he doesn't believe that data. Now, do you get the sense that he's still being insulated by his inner circle from the reality of his situation, or does he simply believe that that data, those polls, are not correct?
I think it's incredible how presidents get so insulated and sometimes from reality, and I think we saw that with the president the other night. Like, you can't deny it. And it's not just the polls. I mean, I'm here in Ohio, you can't go to a coffee shop, you can't go to a bar, you can't go to a soccer game where people aren't talking about this in a negative sense. And so that reality is there. And I think, it's important to be loyal, but part of being loyal is being honest. And I think we have to be honest to each other of just how difficult of a situation this is. And Shannon, I'm telling you, the American people are dying for some aspiration, for some inspiration, for some hope, some reconciliation, coming together, some fellowship, some healing. And we need a candidate that can get us to that point. And that candidate is going to, I think, do very well in this election.
So the president was pressed, though, if he stays on the ticket and loses to President Trump, about how he would feel about that. Here was his answer.
And if you stay in and Trump is elected and everything you're warning about comes to pass, how will you feel in January?
I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the goodest job as I know I can do. That's what this is about.
What was your reaction to hearing that as his assessment of how he would play this thing out?
That was very frustrating, and I think that is what really got under the skin of a lot of members of Congress. This isn't like we get participation trophies here and congratulations, you did the best you could. If this is a sporting event and you throw 3 interceptions, the coach pulls the quarterback. If you're a pitcher that's not getting the job done and they're hitting home run dingers left and right, the manager goes in and pulls the pitcher out. And that's kind of where we are right now, in my estimation. I think in the estimation of guys like David Axelrod and James Carville, like really high-functioning political strategists on the Democratic side, the ones that actually helped us win over the years, are saying the same thing. And it's like, look, this is out of love. We love Joe Biden. Like, he accomplished so much. I think reindustrialized the country. In Ohio, we're building chips, we're building electric battery plants, batteries, we're building electric vehicles. Like the economy is being reshored. Jobs are being reshored for the first time in decades. He did that. He helped do that. Like, we have accomplishments, but that message isn't getting out because it can't get articulated. And the vision that we want for America, the healing, the reconciliation, people want to come together. They're so tired of, like, the Vietnam era generation and the fights that we've been having basically since the Vietnam War with each other. We are not each other's enemy. We are each other's, you know, we're patriots here to try to make America successful. We're friends, we're family members, and we got to heal, but we need a candidate that can come in and do that. I particularly think Kamala Harris can come in and help us heal, but we need a candidate that can do that because the country is ready to move on from the Trump-Biden. All those double haters that you've talked about over the last few weeks, they don't like Trump, they don't like Biden. Let's give them a candidate they can rally around so this country can heal and we can become Americans again and not just Democrats and Republicans.
Let me ask about this, because so much of the conversation we're hearing from Democrats publicly and privately is they're worried about him being unable to beat President Trump. It's not the conversation that he may be unable to govern now. Those are two very different things. New Yorker magazine has this. They say this is what the 25th Amendment was designed for. If Joe Biden doesn't willingly resign, there's another solution which would allow Democrats to unite around a new incumbent. So should we be having the conversation, if you think he's so ill-equipped to run and win, about whether he's able to govern now? Would you support a move on the 25th Amendment?
I think it's a totally different argument, because making the argument, being on the campaign trail, being in a debate is much different than deliberating in private around what direction the country is going to go in on a particular foreign policy issue or domestic issue. Those are two separate things. I think the concern now, would that be a concern in 2 years? Yeah, I think that's what most Americans are evaluating now. They see the president, whether at the debate or even in the interview the other day, and say, well, I mean, he could probably, you know, do this for another 6 months or so, but can he do it 2 years from now? The answer is probably no, and I think that's what people are going to vote on. But when it comes to a campaign, like what happened during the debate is Trump, which obviously lied 27 different times, he was able to, you know, make a new narrative out of the economy when he was in, a new narrative out of COVID when he was in, and the President Biden was not able to push back and articulate why he was wrong and what direction he wants to take the country in.
It's an important part of campaigning, and I would note that fact checkers, including the New York Times, found that President Biden lied as well during the campaign and that debate. Congressman, we appreciate your time. We'll see how this plays out.
Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.